Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the Book That He's Read This Week. So what's the old guy read this week? Well, the book I've read this week is this one. It's called The Big Empty by author Robert Crais. It was published as a hardback here in the United Kingdom on the 16th of January 2025 by Simon & Schuster UK. I believe it was released in the US at the end of 2024, but I'm in the UK, so I'm reviewing it from its UK release. Less of the waffle cliff. What's this about? Well, it's another story of Private Investigator Elvis Cole and his buddy, ex-military, ex-police Joe Pike. The previous books, I've read the back catalogue of Robert Crais, always enjoyed them. Never reviewed one of the books on the channel, so I thought about time. So, as I said, came out mid-January. What's it all about, I hear you say? The story kicks off with Elvis in his office. He's talking to his girlfriend, Lucy Chenier, who's down in Louisiana. Elvis is in LA. They're having a general chat, and his phone goes, so you think, I better get it in case it's work, you know. It turns out it's a call from a lady called Dinah. She's the assistant to another lady called Tracy Bella, and she wants to meet. She's asked Elvis if he'll come and meet Tracy because she's got a job for him. Elvis hasn't heard of Tracy, and apparently she's big in the baking line. So he hops on the other line and speaks to Lucy and said, "Lucy, you heard of this lass called Tracy Bella?" And Lucy says, "Well, yeah, hasn't everybody? She's called the baker next door. She's very popular. She's got, a ton of followers on social media, and she's really, really popular. She's like a super influencer." And Elvis thinks, "Oh, well, in which case, perhaps I'd better get along, see what she wants." So off trots Elvis. He meets Dinah, or Dina, not sure how to pronounce it, D-I-N-A, and says, Tracy's really busy at the moment. She records a video every day of her home baking. But what they try to do is record them in a batch so that Tracy's free to do other things. And we're a bit behind at the moment, so you can only have like 20 minutes of her time. Elvis meets her manager, Kevin, who's clearly more interested in the folding green and doesn't want Tracy interrupted. And he regards Tracy trying to engage the services of a private investigator as too much of a distraction because they're trying to get Tracy mainstream. She's popular online, but they're trying to get her slots in national cooking programs. So Kevin, her manager, is less than impressed with Elvis rocking up. So back to the tale. Tracy tells Elvis that her father, Tommy Bella, was 13. Tracy was 13 when Tommy disappeared 10 years ago. They lived in a place called Rancho, outskirts of Los Angeles, and it was always reviewed as, because it was an adult, it's just Tommy headed off and disappeared, and Tracy never bought it. The fact that he'd abandoned, her and her mum Georgina, and she just didn't buy it. And Elvis says, well, did the police investigate? They said, yeah. And it was like, well, he's an adult. There's no suspicious circumstances. He could have headed off with his own free will. They engaged a firm of private investigators, and Elvis knows them. The firm is called Byers and Ryan. And he said, did they investigate? And she said, yeah, they did a thorough investigation. They chased up all the leads, but they came to the conclusion that he'd just disappeared as well. And Elvis, he's having an iron about whether to take on the case. It's a cold case. It happened 10 years ago. Can he find leads that Byers and Ryan didn't? And basically, Tracy seals the deal by giving him some brilliantly homemade muffins. And off he goes. He takes a small fee as like a retainer, and he says, look, I'll do my best, but let's see what happens. And Elvis gets going. He starts chasing up leads. Tommy had a business with his friend Phil Janley, and between them they had a heating and aircon type business. So Elvis is chasing down customers he saw and trying to get a feel for what Tommy was like. And the general feeling was Tommy was a good guy. Can't understand why he's disappeared, and thus the tale unfolds. Unfortunately, as it carries on, Elvis meets a bit of opposition. He's getting warned off by people saying, leave this alone. You don't need to look at this. He's getting followed in his car. So, what's he going to do? So he gets hold of his mate Joe Pike. Now, Joe's ex-military, ex-cop, straight up and down, and Joe's on it like a car bonnet, offers to help Elvis out because he says to Elvis, says to Joe, the thug count's increasing. This is getting a bit tasty. I need some help. And that's the tale unfolds. So Elvis and Joe are trying to find out what happened to Tommy, and they trace an ex-con called Sadie Givens and her daughter Anya, who may have a lead on this thing, and that's the tale unfolds. And it's probably not giving too much away of the plot that there is much more to this than a simple disappearance, and there's a huge conspiracy which puts both Elvis and Joe in danger, and particularly Elvis. So it's a really good tale. I mean, as I said, it's the 20th tale of these two. It's got all the usual characters. It's got Elvis and Joe. You see the relationship between Elvis and Joe. There's some humour in here. Elvis is quite witty. Joe straight up and down. Let's get on with it. We see Elvis talking to his girlfriend Lucy, his mate John Chen, who helps him with forensics, and of course Elvis's cat, who's just called the cat, who's a contrary animal but loyal. So it's the usual cast, and it's the usual well-told tale. Robert Crais can tell a story, and this is another well-told story. Probably in this book, one of the things you notice with Elvis and Joe is that they're clearly two different personalities, but you see the way they interact with each other with the different personalities. And this book is very much about people keeping secrets and the effect keeping those secrets have on their lives. So there's a little bit of an underlying psychological tilt to it as well. So I really enjoyed it. It's a really good read. I give it 7 out of 10 any day of the week. It's another good story, 367 pages, so not too much of an ask to read. I read it in 2 sessions. I guess if I was being ultra picky, I'd say that whilst you see the relationship between Elvis and Joe, and it is well written, a twist at the end, all that's worth a read. The bit that I think is missing perhaps is Elvis's relationship with his long distance girlfriend Lucy, who's down in Louisiana, and we get bits of that, and I'm wondering if perhaps that could be developed a bit more in one of the future books, of which I'm certain there will be one. So all in all, good read, set in LA. Those of us that live in southwest England really enjoy one of the other things Crais does is it's very atmospheric. I've been to LA, so I know what it's like. I'm not an expert, granted. I went as a tourist, but you actually feel as though you're in LA. And at one stage, he approaches a woman with a couple of rather fierce-looking dogs, and she's doing the usual, oh, don't worry, he won't hurt you. And he's thinking, I bet he would, And she says, oh, yeah, he saw off a couple of coyotes last night, and one of them's, no longer with us, and a couple of those are no longer with us. And I just had a chuckle at that because, I have a moan when there's a couple of owls in the back garden giving it large. But anyway, that's by the by. I digress. Good book, well worth a read. That's it for this week's Brief Book Review. 10/10 till we do it again. Thanks for watching.